Welcome to the Baylor Missions Student Organization Proposal Training video. First, you're going to want to go to bearquest.baylor.edu. You may be automatically logged in or prompted to enter your Bear ID and password. Once you're in the system, you'll notice that there's a dashboard over here on the left. Your open and editable proposals are at the top, and your submitted proposals that you're waiting to hear that they've been approved are here at the bottom. Once you've got into a proposal and you save a draft, it will reappear here on your open and editable task. You can click this gear to the left of the proposal you need to get back into to edit, and then you'll be able to continue to work on it. To begin, over here on the left, click on Start a Request, and then International Domestic Travel, and then Mission Trip Proposal. First thing you want to do is enter a short description for the request. So first you're going to put the name of the team. So it needs to be the city or the country that you'll be visiting, followed by the student organization name. Alright, and then you're going to click Start Request. Some examples of that might be Guatemala AMSA or South Africa BRH. So you get the idea. City, country first, then the student org. Okay. To start the request, you need to enter the team leaders' names. So after you put the name, you have to indicate the employment status. Full-time exempt means that you're exempt from exempt from overtime pay. Full-time non-exempt means you are not exempt from overtime pay and you can receive overtime pay. Part-time would apply to part-time lecturers or temporary individuals. There is a few teams that travel domestically that are small enough that they do not require a second team leader. If that's the case, you are allowed to skip that, but for the majority of teams, you do need to have team leader number 2 in there. Under involved departments, you're going to put the student organization name again. And the name of the mission team should match what you just entered before. Remember, that was the city or the country that you're visiting, followed by the student organization name. Okay. Very rarely it is associated with a course. However, should it be associated with a course, please indicate that here. And next, the departmental information is a little bit different. This is what tells the system how to move it through Baylor for the approval process. Many times faculty members are not needing approval through their own departments because this actually falls under student life. So you're going to actually put the information here for Matt Burchett. So the contact phone is 254-710-2371, and then you're going to select Matt Burchett there. And then if you'll just put Stu right there and then hit the little search guy, this will pop up. And from here, you're going to select Student Learning and Engagement. Okay. Academic credit, very rare. Probably going to click No, but be sure and put an answer there. Before we move forward, I just want to talk to you a little bit about this note that you see in red font. As you work through the proposal, you can click Save Draft, but just know that it only saves that page and the previous pages. It will not save forward. So let's say that you have worked through to page 4 and you click Save Draft. So it will save page 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now if you go backwards and you make a change on page 2 and you click Save Draft on page 2, you'll lose your work on page 3 and 4. And this can be very, very frustrating. So be sure that you go to the furthest point in the proposal where you have worked and then click Save Draft so that it will save all of your pages and all of your work. I clicked Next Page, and when I did, this error warning popped up because I have some missing information in some required fields. You'll notice that some have an asterisk, and those are the required fields. Now you can always click No, I don't want to go to the next page and fix it, or you can keep moving forward if you don't have that info. Next, we would like you to acknowledge that you've read and agree with the Mission Team Leader Manual and the Missions Covenant. If you have not accessed that yet, you can click this link to find it. Next, we need a little more contact information for Team Leader 1 and 2, including departments, since that has not been noted yet, since this is a student org proposal. Next, tell us about the program leadership, and you'll probably want to include some information on the student leaders. In some cases, they take the primary lead. Just let us know. So, for example, you might say student leaders are handling project coordination, and team leader number 1 is handling financial management, and team leader number 2 is handling logistics coordination. In the program leadership, we need to know who will receive the cash advance. And please note, this must be a full-time exempt employee per university policy. Next, you'll name the student organization once again, and then you'll select through the drop down the appropriate semester and year that you're proposing this trip occur. If it is not listed there, this is not required, so you may skip it, but please enter it if it applies. Next, you're going to put the trip travel dates, the day they leave Waco and the day they return to Waco. Please note that some destinations require a lot longer travel, and so those dates that you leave the destination are not the same as the date you arrive in Waco. So be sure that you tell us the day you want to leave Waco and the day you want to get back to Waco. And we need these dates to be as accurate as possible, because this is what we will submit to the travel agent to set reservations for travel. Next, we need to know all destinations of cities and countries that your team will stay in and or visit. So if you set up to stay in one location but you're taking day trips out to different cities, be sure to include all of those cities. This includes your location for your debriefing excursion. Lastly, we'd like to know the number of times that either team leader or student leaders have been to this location and worked with this partner before. Does not necessarily have to have been with a Baylor team, could be with any other group. On the next page, if you are leading a domestic trip, you'll click No, and that will be the end of this page for you. If you are leading an international trip, you're going to click Yes, and that will open up 3 items for you to work through. You're going to click this link, and it will take you to this page here. You're going to click on Location Intel. You're going to enter the name of the country that you're going to, and click Go. This will open up the country page. And following the directions that was right there on number 1, for security rating, you're going to go look right here on the top right-hand corner of the page and see that it's rated a 3. Your country might be something different, and that's okay. So Peru's a 3, and here's those directions, that we just followed. Okay, and then we also need the medical rating. So we're going to go back to that same country page. There's all kinds of great information here if you want to look through. But now we're going to go to the health subsection here on the left and click Health Considerations for Individuals in Peru. And this will open up a pop-up window, which came in off screen. Sorry about that. And here it is. And if you scroll down through this, you will see a lot of information that is quite helpful. You might want to take a look at that. For the purposes of the proposal, however, we just need this health security assessment rating. So once you get that, turn back to the proposal, mark that, and then lastly, because this has been an abbreviated process, we do ask that you acknowledge that you'll receive a request from the Assistant Director of Emergency Management and Global Preparedness to kind of review this information and talk about any questions you might have, and that you will respond to that request in a timely manner. So just indicate that there. All right, on the next page, we get into the details more heavily. It's a lot more information than we've worked through so far, so hang in. First, you're going to indicate the maximum number of students you anticipate for the trip, the number of faculty and staff leaders you're going to need, and then any guests that you might have. For student organizations, we have some pre-med teams that always take doctors and nurses. This is where you would indicate the number that's planned for that. If any minors will be coming along with faculty, staff, or guests, please indicate that here. Next, we have an item about the budget. The Baylor Missions Budget Coordinator will reach out to you and the student leaders to discuss the trip cost and the budget items that goes into that. We just ask that you acknowledge that you know you're going to get that request and that you'll respond in a timely manner. Next, we would like to know if you're working with any other teams or disciplines or organizations here at Baylor. It is not required, just let us know if you are. Next, host organization information. So any and all contact information for your hosts, including any web presence such as Facebook or Instagram, we ask that you put that here. Be sure and include a business contact so that we know who to reach out to in regards to billing. And also include any Baylor or personal connections to this particular host. Next, we need a general itinerary. This does not have to be down to the hour, but we just need a little information to know what your plan is. For example, it might say day 1, arrive and acclimate. Day 2, prepare projects and tour the city with partner. Day 3 through 8, work at local schools, and then you'll give the schools locations and names. And then day 9 through 10, debriefing excursion, and then you'll put the location and the vendor you might be working with. Day 11, return to Waco. Next is more of a narrative response. We would just like for you to share with us your vision of how this trip with these particular partnerships and projects might connect to the missional purpose of this trip. Next, we would like to know if this is a long-term project, meaning that you can't finish it in this one time that you visit there, and it will need return trips or continual funding. Next, we want to know about your plan to get from Waco to your destination. So if you're on a domestic trip, are you going to need rental vehicles? Are you going to fly? So you need to get to the airport. So do you want to meet at the airport? Are you going to carpool? Do you want us to charter transportation for you? And so on. Next is about transportation once you reach your destination. In some cases, this will mean you're going to take public transportation. In others, you'll still have that rental vehicle that you already had. In others, your partners are going to provide your transportation. For other people, you actually need a secondary flight in country. We need to know all of those anticipated transportation needs. Next, we want to know about the trip lodging. So this would include, anything from hotel to retreats, centers to churches. Let us know the name, the full contact information, a business person so that we can work out billing, so that we can get going on that. Okay, next, meal plans. So this could include anything from your partner is providing all your meals to you will be going grocery shopping to you will eat out every time. Just let us know what you're thinking. And be sure and include the debriefing excursion if that is separate from where you're mainly located. And speaking of excursions, we would like to hear about your debriefing activity plans. We need to know the location, the possible vendors that you will be working with for reservations and billing needs, and we need to know the business contacts once again. And we also need to know about the activity. Sometimes it's not clear just based on the names of companies what you're doing, so be sure and let us know what that is. So this is a student organization trip, and so you will put yes here, and then you'll answer the next 5 questions. First of all, one more time to put the name of the organization here. The faculty advisor or advisors, please include them all for your organization. Next, we're curious, will they be involved in the planning of the trip, and will they go on the trip? This is not required that you use your advisors to plan or go on the trip. It's just good for us to know when we're trying to figure out who to ask questions. Lastly, we need to know who are the student leaders and their contact information. All right, the last part of this page has to do with promotion. So because this is a student org, this will be a little bit more streamlined, but here we go. So first of all, we just need a 1 to 2 sentence catchy description that lets your potential recruits know what the purpose, location, and project is. Next, we want you to give us an idea of what you think students will walk away with when they return from this trip. If you need a little more help on that, click this link. Next, we'll want to know how you're going to promote and recruit for this trip. Again, that might be primarily at organizational meetings and so forth. Just let us know. And finally, what is your target population of students? Are you limiting this to folks in your organization, or are you open to others coming? Just let us know so we know how to best help you and how to set up your web page on the Baylor Missions website. All right, lastly, we have the first-time leaders. So if all of the student leaders and all of the team leaders are return leaders, if all of them are return leaders, you'll click no. If any one of the student leaders or any one of the team leaders have not been a lead on a Baylor mission trip, please mark yes. Then, if you will have each person who has never led a Baylor mission trip before answer these 2 questions. Be sure and label the responses so that we know whose answer is what. Just need to know in a quick 3 to 5 sentences their philosophy of missions and then some references from those who will be familiar with their work on campus. All right, you might be ready to click submit. You may be ready to click save draft, where you can continue to access this later from that first page we discussed. You might be tempted to go back and change some things. Just don't forget, you want to be sure to go all the way to the furthest point where you've worked and then click save draft so that you don't lose any of your information. I hope this has been helpful to you. Thank you for your time. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Baylor Missions and contact Jill Hatcher or Holly Tate for more help. Thanks.